Wait.
I got it. When I bought the house, I didn't have it, and now a year afterwards, I spent one summer without AC, and then the next year, I was like, nah, I'm going to spend the money and get AC.
How do you install AC into a house? They have to like dig like fucking tunnels in it.
Well,
Yeah.
I already had.
Step one,
I had to take out a loan. It was like $4,500, but I already have an HVAC system for the heat, so they just basically had to hook up the air to it. So it wasn't like a complicated process. Also, Trey, the reason I didn't tell you happy birthday is because listen, I wrote you a poem that I'm going to read you right now. Okay.
Wow.
And I wanted to read.
Do you need a proper clap intro or you want to clap afterwards?
Yeah, let's do it. I'll get the clap tuned up for
Let's
afterwards.
see how this goes.
Okay.
Trey got so happy by the way. He got really happy right now.
No, I did it. I don't care. I don't care.
Trey. What can I say? Now you are old and gay, but even in your 30s, you still slay. You will always be the Kyrie to my LeBron because you make me so strong. We couldn't do we couldn't do this pod without you, but I must stress, technically, I am number one and you are number two. Because statistically speaking, I've been far more episodes. That was the point of the Kyrie reference. Did you catch that? Having you back on the pod is so fat. Spelled with a PH, by the way. Anyway, back to the pod. I hope you never lose your dad bod. Oh, and by the way, Anthony is our Kevin Love. Happy birthday, Trey.
Wow.
What did you think?
Artistic. That was amazing.
Okay.
So don't think that I didn't have something queued up. I was waiting. It was killing me. It was killing me. I wanted to call you and read it, but I was like, I gotta save this because it's just really some of my best work.
You could have gone Steph and LeBron just because of recent events, but I respected you and Kyrie.
True. Yeah. No, that makes sense.
The Kevin Love is a compliment because
it is.
He's a badass basketball player, so I will take that. Yeah, thank you.
For
well
sure.
Done, Blake. Thank you for my poem.
Yes.
All right. Well,
very Billy Madison of you.
Yeah. On that note, also you called me gay in 2024, but it's all right. The rhyme's right there. Like when you're supposed to not take it.
It's exactly. Just like it was teed up for me. You know.
Right.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Totally Biased Music. It's Blake, Anthony, and Trey, and this week we're reviewing Perpetual Groove, Sweet Oblivious Antidote, and Trap by M. Night Shyamalan. So, Anthony, this is your album pick, so give us a little background. Why did you pick P. Groove?
Yeah, so P. Groove, special band in my heart. I'm sure in a lot of college kids' hearts, too. That's where I discovered them. They would make the circuit, and play band parties, play house shows. But really, I swear, it wasn't until 2015, Trey got to go see him, which I can't wait to hear about that. But 2015, they came back to Birmingham, and this was a real. They had taken a hiatus for a good bit of time for everyone to work on their own mental health and to get back to a good place to where they could start performing again. And that show, which was outside at Avondale Brewery in Birmingham, really spoke to me. And from then on is when I could say I was really paying attention to their music, and their live shows are really something special to experience. And this being their first album is I think a really special piece of art. There's a lot to take in here. That's a lot, I think, musically. A lot of their songs kind of go on different routes and different journeys, but really something special to me. I listen to it regularly, and this album had its 20th anniversary last year. So it now being a fresh 21, I think is still something to take in. So I was excited to get y'all to listen to it, potentially for the first time, if not a re-listen, but something really special. So P. Groove, I'll say this too, and then we'll go deeper. P. Groove now, when this album came out, it was the original 4 members. Brock Butler is lead vocals and lead guitar. Adam Perry plays bass. Let's see, Matt McDonald is, I believe that's correct. Yeah, Matt McDonald does keys and synths. And at the time, Albert Suttle was their drummer. But as of last year, Albert stepped out of the band. Darren Stanley is who's performing with them now, who I think brings a lot of new energy to their shows. But but just wanted to put that out there. But what are your guys' takes? What's your any P Groove history, or was this your first kind of taste of them?
Trey, you lead us off.
I was gonna say you lead us off, but
yeah, Blake, I know we know Trey at least has heard of them.
It's Trey's birthday still, and once you reach your 30s, you have a birthay week. It's no more birthday, so it's still Trey's birthday, so he can lead us off.
Okay.
I similar to you, like experienced P Groove in college for the first time. They did that circuit where they would play Auburn, Tuscaloosa, and Birmingham, and like run that up and down a lot, probably twice a year. I feel like.
Yeah.
They're originally from Athens, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Georgia,
they're like in the southeastern, like history, I suppose. But yeah, I have listened to this album countless times. Super stoked when you picked it. I probably listened to it more leading up to this podcast than I've ever listened to an album that anyone's picked.
Fuck yeah.
It's super easy listening, and it provided a really it's wild that you picked this. And then they came to Asheville on Saturday, and I took my mom, which was a really cool experience in of itself. She had a really good time. It was
nice.
It was the perfect environment to take a parent to. Like, it was at a brewery, it was outside, it was pretty chill. She was absolutely enamored with the flow artist people. There was a guy that was juggling.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there was a guy that was doing some juggling and spinning some poi, and she's like, "What is he doing?" And I'm like, "That's a grown man who's playing with children's toys, Mom." And she
but
loved
having
that.
a great time. Yeah,
he was having a great time, and people with balls on strings typically have great times. But yeah, they're phenomenal. They've kind of come back from some like tough personal situations. And I've seen him like several times since the comeback. But it's funny, I was like texting someone and I was like, "Hey, I'm going to see P Groove tonight," and she was like, "Oh, I saw them in college." So like they're very much like a college band, I think, for a lot of people. But I saw them in Denver one time in like 2017, I think, and have seen them. This wasn't the first time I saw them in Asheville. They're great live. They're like a jam band, but they don't really like go too far out there. They still kind of stick to their tracks. But yeah, they're phenomenal. I'm excited to get into the album.
Hell
nice. Yeah, I don't know if I've seen P Groove. I feel like I have at some point, but I can't concretely say that. I didn't really know much about P Groove going into this. And for those that don't know, it's Perpetual Groove. I think we just automatically started abbreviating P Groove, and there may be people that have never listened to them that are like, "Who the fuck is this?"
Great band name, by the way.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, it's ideal.
Yeah.
So I didn't. I don't know. I thought they were. I thought they were more jam bandy than they actually are, for better or for worse. I think I'll be honest with you guys, and I'll tell you this now. I really, really don't like this guy's voice. So the songs where he's singing were like really distracting to me. But it's frustrating because, and we'll get into it later. Like, I really like their instrumentation and the way that they play, and they sound great and they sound very jam bandy. And there's a few tracks on here where they really go full jam band in my eyes, and I really enjoyed those. But there were some where like I would be getting into it, and then like he would start singing, and it was just like, oh, fuck, man, like it just seemed like if I could get like an instrumental. I know that Anthony said this about a number of albums. Like if I could get an instrumental version of this album, I think I would enjoy it more. But to their credit, I still really liked it, and I think like this came out like 20 years ago, right?
Yeah,
and it doesn't like it's not dated at all. Like it sounds like it could be released, recently, and so I do enjoy that a lot. But I do want to listen to more Perpetual Groove, and if I get a chance to see them, I would like to see them live. But I want to kind of dip into their other albums like this. Is there a lot of singing in all of their albums, or are there some that are just like jams?
It's pretty balanced. This album including is pretty balanced.
Yeah.
I mean, there's obviously vocal parts, but then there are just instrumental tracks. But yeah, the next two albums, Life and I Will See in One Moment. So All This Everything, Live, Love, Die are probably their more complete albums. After that, and that ends in 2007. So after that, you get kind of shorter albums, more EP-like things. They did some live albums. But to your point on the vocalist, it's the same. It's my Morning Jacket approach, as far like from my end. It's a new vocalist you haven't heard, so it's a novel sound, a novel voice that yeah, it can be distracting at first, but over time you start to realize this is him. You know, I mean, you think about singers like Lane Staley and Kurt, obviously two iconic singers, not with amazing voices, but with super unique voices. And it's something that I think over time does start to kind of sink in and say, okay, this is just what you're getting at a P Groove show. But he's also an amazing guitarist too. So like it just adds, I think, to the texture that is P Groove. But yeah, I totally can see how that on the front end can be like, whoa. But
yeah, I don't see it. He's got the voice of an angel. It's like
I
southern,
agree.
like
I
beautiful.
agree. Yeah, Brock, if you're
But
listening,
you know,
keep
a lot
singing.
a lot of times with jam bands in general, like the singer isn't like the most classically trained, or that's
Right.
not like
Yeah.
their main draw, right?
I mean, Trey Anastasio is like the perfect example of that, right? Like,
dude, his voice sounds better today than it ever has.
True.
Jerry also had the voice of an angel. I love everyone's voice, basically. You know, sing.
That's the thing.
Trey dislikes no voices.
You buy into their voice and you realize this is an artist, right? And it doesn't have to be a classically trained artist. There's going to be some abstract shit in there. But when they're belting their voice out, man, it's emotional and it's powerful and you have to respect it, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Who's starting out?
I'll start.
Let's have Anthony start.
Like, you know, I mean, like a lot of people try to categorize bands like this, and this band, you know, I think a lot similar to Papadozio in a way, where Papadozio more exploratory than P Groove, but very synth heavy, very spacey, like progressive jam rock with maybe some jazz kind of influence. You know, it's like if you were trying to categorize him, that's what I would do. But as far as top tracks go, this album's laced with top tracks in my mind. You know, in fact, there's only I struggled finding bottom tracks, but number 3, I have the title track, "Sweet Oblivious Antidote." I think it's a great climax for the album. The album itself, I think, has climaxes throughout, but a beautiful way to close it. You know, I love the concept too that they use with the album artwork, which is, you know, the music itself is the antidote. You know, I think they say it's an auditory elixir experience. You know, so "Sweet Oblivious Antidote" definitely is on there. Number 2 is the song that I brought as a ride or die in the past, Teakwood Betts. You know, I was with our buddy Zach Fancher at this show at work at Avondale. And
God, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
It had been a while since I had seen P Groove at that point. But when they played this song, I straight up looked at him and said, "Dude, I could." And I was on some substances, no doubt. My mind was expanding, but I told him, I said, "Dude, I could live in that bass line right here, right now." And literally, when you're immersed in a crowd and you're just totally feeling this vibe that's being put out there, there's nowhere else I would rather be, and really no better feeling than that in my mind. It's just being completely lost in this groove. So Teakwood Betts is number 2, and number 1 for me is Walking in Place. You know, that show, I wish I could go back and listen to it. It might have been right before I started. I don't know why I didn't have my recorder at that show. Probably because my brain was elsewhere. But to close a show with Walking in Place is honestly like it's so climactic. It's so powerful. And the way Brock just belted that show, literally that memory will never leave me. So there's no way I couldn't put that number 1. And for me, hearing that song trickle in at a live show, I know where it's going to go, and so excited to go on that journey with them. So Walking in Place is definitely my number 1 on this album.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Trey?
Blake?
Oh.
All
right, I'll take it.
Yeah. Let Trey close us out.
So for my number 3, I had, and you guys may have to correct my pronunciation, but Perihelion? Is that how you say that?
Yeah,
I pronounce Perihelion. Yeah,
Perihelion. Yeah. So I love the intro to this song. Right, like it's funky, it's rhythmic, it's alien-like in the noises they have in the background, and they do that with like throughout the whole album. Right, these weird kind of electronic synths and sounds that they have kind of draped throughout the album, I think is really cool. And this song is just there's a nice bass line with this song too, and starts off slow, and it kind of like it picks up a little bit, but it never gets super jammy. It's just melodic and it's peaceful. It's a nice jam song to me. You know, I just really, really enjoyed it. And to be honest, this is what I thought the whole album was going to be like, and I was very wrong in that assumption, but that's okay. I really, really liked it. The next one is Sundog. So Sundog, this to me is like, this is a jam band song, man. They're fucking. I'm listening to it right now, so I'm skipping through the track, but they really start jamming here. They get into it, you know, and it feels like I pictured it when I was listening to it as like seeing it in a live form, like how they would play it in concert and how that experience would be with a crowd that was, you know, really into that music. And they kind of go full throttle here, and it's a fun fucking song, dude. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed it.
I want to say this on the live performance of that song, because they do some cool shit. Like that song actually, oftentimes I should say, gets separated or sandwiched, maybe the more proper term, where they play the first half and then interlude into something else, whether it's a known track. They do great covers at their shows as well. But that's a fun one because they split it up and then they go back into that kind of second half reggae as the tempo's kind of building any part of that song. So super fun.
And he gets really like, he starts shredding the guitar about 3 minutes in, starts going on kind of like a little solo, and it gets real weird. And there's some I don't know what instrument they're playing, if it's a keyboard with like electronic synths on it, but they're jamming with that, and like there's just a lot going on, but it's really cool. And then number one for me is Teakwood Bets. I mean, same reason, that intro, that weird, like, I just think of UFOs, like the alien sounds at the beginning. And then, like you said, that bass line, dude, you could live in that bass line. And like the drums are they're so light and such a nice touch to the song. Like they're not overbearing, but it's like just what you need with that low instrumentation at the very beginning. So I think the song is just put together really well, and I would love to see it live, man. I could just see them, you know, ripping through this thing live. So really, really enjoyed it. So that's definitely my top song. But those three, man, I was really, really impressed by all three of them, and I went back after I finished the album and re-listened to them all again, just because I was like, yeah, this is the highlight for me. So
hell yeah,
nice. Yeah, Teakwood Bet slaps. All right, my top three. So three, I have Playground. I think it's the longest track on the album. It's like a full 7-minute, like full jam exploration. Right. The guitar work in it's phenomenal. There's these like spacey, like backing synths, and like you were asking what like instrument it was earlier. I think the synth player like really holds this band down and gives them a super unique, like really, really different vibe. And he plays like all these different types of synths throughout that song. And like sometimes they'll come in, sometimes they're like in the background, sometimes they're like the main focus. But they like stay throughout the track. It's great song. Like peak jam band studio work for real.
Right.
And that's something about this album in general is like, this is just a really, really good like jam studio record, which are kind of far and few between in a lot of ways.
True.
When you have your magic that's like happening live, a lot of times it's hard to like capture that, I feel like. So yeah, that's number three. Number two is TSMM or that song also just probably the best guitar work. Also like the keys coming in, or it's almost like you're walking into a fair, you know what I mean? It's like it's like a joke song, and then it like goes right into this like little groove.
It's so
it's
nice.
Great. It has lyrics in it, you know. Blake's, I know it might not be your thing, but it also fits. Like I think the big story of this song, like, or this album rather, you know, the Sweet Oblivious Antidote, like the music is the antidote, like Anthony referred to earlier. This is the middle of like the story that's kind of like a little bit of a like comeback, like when my soul rises up, when the sun sets down, I hang up the phone when I don't hear a sound. Just feels like it's fitting into like the beginning of this like story of, I don't really know how you want to take it, maybe like a spiritual journey or whatever that the songwriter's on. So that's number two. And then going into that is, for me, it's a really big song, but 3 Weeks is just the quintessential Perpetual Groove song.
That's actually the longest song on the album. That one's 9 minutes and 16 seconds.
Nice. Okay. Good to know. Corrected me. Not a big deal. Corrected me on my birthday or whatever. But that song has this weird juxtaposition where like the instrumentation behind it's like very positive and uplifting, but the lyrics are sad as absolute fuck. Like there's a line that says like, "What got you feeling so down? I hold up my empty cup. My friend, as you can see, I have nothing to pour. Invited and I gave all I had, and then they showed me the door." So it's just like someone.
Jesus.
Yeah. Right. It's sad. It's like just about like him being like super down, and that's what's cool about Sweet Oblivious Antidote, the song, because those lyrics are like kind of like I figured it out. Just like a whole like journey, you know, brother.
Yes, brother.
Yes,
and we were all with them on this journey.
We were all with them on this 10-track journey, and that's what music's all about. Yeah.
So true.
But the Sweet Oblivious Antidote lyrics are, I say let it ride then, burn it so bright that no one can see me, maybe just hide then. A good place could be right in front of me because I'm busy searching for what? I'm not really sure. Maybe an answer. Maybe some sweet oblivious cure. Yeah. Right. And that's like the only like lyric for that song. It's fucking great. So yeah, those are my top 3, but really it's like 3 weeks and Sweet Oblivious Cure is like a combo deal.
Yeah, I like that. The bookends are really like might start in a troubled place, but like look at where we end, or look at where the hope is too.
Right. But exactly,
3 weeks is probably. I would love to take a poll of some people at the P Groove show. Maybe so they're playing Friday in Birmingham, so that was another reason why I wanted to pick this album, was to kind of segue into that, and it just the synchronicity works out. But I'd love to poll some folks, and I'll probably do it just to hear what their first P Groove song was, and I would put money it's all 3 weeks. You know.
So when I got to the show, we got there a little late on Saturday, like 15 minutes late, and I like sat down and like listened to the first track, or whatever. I turned around and asked the person behind me. I was like, "Hey, how long have they been on?" And they're like, "Oh, like only like 15 minutes. You're good." I was like, "That's cool." And they're like, "But they opened with 3 weeks." And I was like, sick, cool.
Yeah.
So we missed that song. But I was like, why the fuck would you open with that? Like, that's like your biggest song. But, you know,
dude,
that's how some people do it.
They're solid. They're solid set list crafters. You know, I think I've come to kind of find out that there are a couple different types of P Group shows, and to try to explain it would be more difficult, but there are some like very up tempo, very fast, like TTFPG kind of like sets, and that's just a song that they'll play live. I don't know what it means. I don't know what TSMM means, but you gotta love it. Yeah, exactly. Maybe that's the synth sound.
It's like when a bee flies by your ears, like
But yeah, I mean, it is a special time, no doubt. Either way you get to experience them, I think is good. But the sets definitely have like characteristics that are kind of notable. So you never know what kind of show you're gonna get, but I've never left P Groove show disappointed, you know, or bummed out. You know, it's very personal and very uplifting.
I think what's cool about them, like if they're playing their own shows, like I think opening with your most popular track isn't a big deal because you know people are there to see your show. Versus like at a music festival, like Portugal the Man used to do this all the time. Like they would save Feel It Still. Like if they were playing festival sets, like when they blew up after Feel It Still, they would save it until the end and they would put on the screen like, don't worry, like we're gonna play Feel It Still, like just wait or whatever. But then like when I saw them at Red Rocks, like they played it, I don't know, midway through the set, because at that point you're assuming people are here to see Portugal the Man, they're not here to see Feel It Still. So I think it's like if P Groove is playing their own show, they probably don't give a shit when they play it, you know. It's like if you're gonna stay just for that, then good riddance.
Hey Derek, do you hear that? You don't have to close every show with I Know the Truth.
Hey, sometimes you're in a pattern that you just can't leave.
Stop fucking doing it, man.
All right, Anthony, what do you got for bottom tracks?
All right, so I only have one, and it's partially because of the title, Robot Waltz. I'm not a fan of those two words combined in that fashion. Tell me why. I'll tell you why. It's because there's a film called The Last Waltz. Have either of y'all seen it or heard of it?
I've heard about it.
Yeah, so it's a great concert film. Arguably one of the best concert films ever made. But it's the band called The Band. Their like last big performance, and there's like tons of musicians coming out on stage. Excellent watch, beyond worth seeing. So definitely watch it if you haven't. But the words "The Last Waltz" like always come to the forefront, and then to compare it to Robot Waltz is just it just does a thing with my brain. No dissing to anyone, but that's kind of my thing. Also, I think Robot Waltz is probably the most like noodly track on this album. Like it goes so there. But that's my only gripe. I mean, I get down with P Groove for everything they do, good and bad, and fast and slow. So, but Robot Waltz that's my caveat for putting them on the list.
All right,
is that it?
That's it. Yeah, I'm down with. Honestly, between the three of us and top tracks, we only didn't list Astro Monkey and Robot Waltz. And Astro Monkey, I love that track. I love the calypso part at the end. It's super fun. And it's a journey throughout its track. So yeah, man, I'm down with this whole album. I'm not bringing no garbage to you. But the only thing I can pick was Robot Waltz, and really just because, if it was titled something different, I probably wouldn't have any.
That's fair.
I got one bad track, and okay. It's Astro Monkey.
I knew that was coming from one of you guys.
It's diet math rock kind of at the beginning, where it's this like kind of complicated, like, buddy, chill out. It's this like complicated type of like guitar riff, and like this probably I don't know anything about time signatures or anything, but like this different time signature. I know a lot about math rock, gang gang baby. But yeah, it's just I don't know. This island steel drum part is like super corny, which I guess is what you're talking about.
Yeah,
no, I don't like the calypso. It doesn't really fit with the record, so yeah, that song's not great for me.
But for monkeys, doesn't it fit with some monkey stuff?
Also, I don't love the words Astro and Monkey together either, if I'm really thinking about it.
Okay. I think it's cool. I think Astro Monkey's a great concept.
Hey, now.
No, we've sent a lot of monkeys into space. Yeah, that's my only bad song on this record, though. If I like had to pick a second one, I guess it would probably just be Perihelion, but I actually really like that song.
Yeah.
But I just know that Blake wants us to have more than one bad track, and so
you have to pick one of his.
Yeah. Trey's like, I didn't have any, but actually, Blake, what were your top three? Yeah, those are my bottom three.
Those are my bottom
three. Yeah, it's always there. Prime for the picking.
Okay, you guys aren't gonna like this, heads up. So TSMM, I really like. Man, when it started, I was so into it, and then he just comes in with just his corny ass,
this voice,
like his voice. It is so like the lyrics are so. It's just he just sounds corny, bro. Like the way he's singing, he's like I don't even know how to explain. He's like like shut the fuck up, man. Like you're ruining this song for me.
You wrote this song.
So yeah, that's a no for me. And then Robot Waltz also I had it on there, but Robot Waltz I didn't like it. It had nothing to do with the name, which I think is a great name, and I would love to like envision robots waltzing.
One day we'll be able to with AI, brother.
It's true, but it's too repetitive to me. It's like and they don't do this a lot on this album, but the instrumentation in this song is really, really repetitive to me. Like to the point where I was like, all right, let's wrap it up. And then they mix it up for a little bit towards the end, but then the last 20 seconds is like the exact same as the first like 2 minutes, and I was like, all right, yeah, we're done here. And then sorry, Trey, or I think it was Trey, Walking in Place. And again, like just the singing, man, I can't. I'm sorry, man. I just really don't like his voice. I don't like the way he sings. Like, I just don't like it. And it upsets me because I want to like it. Because I like the music, like I really enjoy the music, but it's like, he's just taking me out of it, man. It's just a personal preference thing, It's just a biased opinion. And that's what we bring here for.
Well,
so
like, let me ask you, the guy, Jim James, is that My Morning Jacket?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So like when you first
don't ever
heard him, were you just balls deep? I'm
yes,
in.
immediately.
How did you see him live, or did you hear him on a record, or like
I heard him on a record. Well, really, like my intro to My Morning Jacket was the American Dad episode where Stan gets really obsessed with My Morning Jacket. And it's really funny if you haven't seen it, but he talks a lot about like Jim James's voice and like just how his music speaks to him and all this other stuff. And Jim James, I don't know if they actually got Jim to voice himself. They did. Yeah. But it's so funny, like just the whole episode. But when he tells, it's like it's a spinoff of Almost Famous. Like Stan basically dresses as a reporter to go try to meet Jim James, and Jim afterwards is like, brother, like, I'm not writing my songs for you. Like, I don't even know you, man. Like, your family's the one that knows you. But it's like, there's a clip in there where he's like, Jim James says things that I think. That's how I feel about Jim James when I hear him sing. I'm like, I think this too. We are one and the same. But yeah, it's just his voice, as Trey said, is just it's angelic. You know, it's perfect. So yeah. But yeah, those are my bottom tracks.
Gotcha.
Fair.
Okay.
Well, what do we? There's not any like I couldn't find any ratings or anything. But before we get into our ratings, you guys have any other thoughts on P Groove? Anything you want to share? Any stories?
I just want to say they covered "Sooner or Later, God's Gonna Cut You Down" by Johnny Cash last weekend, and
That's
it was
fucking sick.
Awesome. It was very cool, and to see my mom get excited because she knew a song was also really, really wholesome.
Nice.
So,
Yeah, they just came out with it, or not just came out, but like within the past couple years, I guess it was 21. Sorry, 2021. So there's an EP they came out with called "Come On Covers," that has, I believe, 4 covers. "God's Gonna Cut You Down," "Drive" is another, "Our Lips Are Sealed." Interesting rendition of that track. Blake, you should listen to that and see if the vocals can kind of catch on because of songs hearing them done.
Yeah.
Or maybe not, right?
I'll check that out.
But that is a cool thing at their live shows too, is that they're likely going to cover something that you recognize and can get down with. I
like the name "Come On Covers." Like I like the double entendre they got there. It's pretty cool.
Nice.
I wonder. I doubt. I don't know how.
No, it's definitely that is intentional. That is intentional.
I don't think that's how they meant it.
Come on, covers? Yes, it is. I guarantee. I'll DM them. I'll DM them and ask.
They'll probably actually answer. They're pretty small.
Yeah, I mean they're sharing our stories, so we'll see. Yeah. But I'll say this, P Groove is a band a lot like Papadozio in a sense where they are not going to fill out the room like I feel they should. I would. Well, how packed was the show in Asheville? Was it good?
No, it wasn't super packed.
Yeah, it's unfortunate
for sure.
Yeah, but the show itself, can't you feel that there should be more? Don't you feel there should be more people experiencing that live?
At this point, I think a lot of these type of bands have made their niche, and I don't think they're really getting through to younger crowds. So I think it's just, I think that's kind of true across the jam band scene in general. Like Humphreys, used to have 3 nights at Red Rocks. Now they have 1, and they have 2 supporting acts. Same thing with like Tribe. Like it is a kind of a little dwindling. You got Goose, obviously, that's blowing up and stuff like that, and Billy Strings. But a lot of these bands that we listen to in college and stuff, they are kind of dwindling in crowd size, and that's okay. We can still go experience
more space for us. But if anyone,
more space to spend poi.
Yeah, right. But if anyone listening, if someone invites you to a P Groove show and you think, "Oh, I saw them in college," no, go see them. I mean, it's a fun ass show, and the guys are talented, and I think that they may never get the credit they deserve, but definitely put on an amazing show. So it's a good time.
Fuck yeah! All right, well, let's get into rankings. Anthony, lead us off. I think I already know what yours is.
It's not a 10. It's a solid 9.
Interesting.
I give it a solid 9.
Oh.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you why, but it definitely. I don't know. They have so many good songs. Like their catalog is just laced with so much goodness. But I'm giving this a solid 9 only because the 10s are probably albums that I dream about or that are laced in my dreams. So this one is probably the one I listen to as soon as I wake up, but maybe not ringing in my head as a dream, except for Teakwood. Teakwood Bets is ingrained in my bloodstream. So yeah, but 9 out of 10 from me.
Trey?
That's an interesting rating philosophy. I like it.
Yeah, true. I like it too.
If I don't dream about it, it's not that great.
No, I did not say that.
I know you didn't. I give it an 8. I give it a solid 8. It's a similar album to like my formative years, and have a lot of great memories with this band. And yeah, it was great to see them this past weekend. Solid 8 record. Would recommend it to many people. Blake.
Yes.
Very nice. Sorry. Hang on. My dogs are barking. Can you fill space while I close my door, please?
Blake decided that he's going to give this album a 10 out of 10. He's fully changed his mind on
He really
Brock's
did
voice.
say that. I think he did. He implied it.
He did.
Or at least his dogs implied.
It's gonna be a 6.5 for me.
Wow.
And look, I think a 6.5 is pretty good. And the instrumentation is great. I love the songs where there's no singing. I think they're a good band. I would still like to see them. I just really don't. It's a personal thing. I don't like his voice, man. I don't like the way that he sings.
That's why you have an opinion. It's all right.
Yeah, it's a totally biased take right there, 6.5. And I'm not going to let Anthony peer pressure me into giving a higher rating, and I'm with his, you didn't finish my movie. Yeah. I'm mad
We're
about
not talking
that.
about that anymore.
I don't even have to talk about it anymore. It's there. Yeah, it's enough. I've said it enough for it to resonate in Blake's head because he's worried about what movie I'm picking next week. So we'll get there. We'll get there.
So am I.
So is Trey.
Fucking terrified.
Y'all got no idea. So, I was trying to see if they're going to be playing anywhere near you, Blake. So it looks like they're going to the Northeast the end of August, back to North Carolina and South Carolina. So it doesn't look like they're coming to Colorado anytime soon, but when they do, you will be notified.
Yeah, I'll be there. And also, if you guys want to travel, Party Next Door is playing several shows in Philadelphia. If you guys want to go to Philly and kind of catch some of those vibes,
I'm VIP. I'm riding every rail in that fucking video.
Yeah, nice.
Gotta sanitize that thing first.
Let's get into Rides or Dies. Anthony, lead us off.
All right, so my Rides or Dies, a band I have not brought to the podcast, but I wanted to get your just gut reaction to me bringing Disturbed track to the podcast. But Disturbed is one that if you have never listened to a Disturbed song, I can only imagine what your perception of their music is truly, because there's a lot of energy. There's a lot of energy, I guess, is the best. I don't want to say aggression, because this song called The Light is really a song of hope. It's really special, and you could take it for what you think it is, but it's a powerful performance, a powerful song. I'm curious to bring. I want to bring Disturbed to the podcast, but this is a little dry run to see if you guys can handle it or not. So
Trey,
Trey, I'll go first.
Man, I'm gonna be honest with you. This is just so not my tempo. This is just not my vibe. It's too I don't like this type of guitar. Like filters and effects, and not a Disturbed guy. It's too scary. Once again, I get scared from things like this. Even the cover art for this record is pretty fucking terrifying. I did read the lyrics for this, and I think they're nice for sure. Don't like the guy's voice, and don't really enjoy this type of music in general. So I'm sorry, Anthony. Unfortunately, it's a dies for me.
It's a shame.
I will say, Trey, I don't know how many episodes you listened to while you were on your hiatus, but Anthony has kind of a running theme of bringing low-key Christian rock songs to his Rides or Dies. And that is kind of the vibe I'm getting here. Another one of Anthony's Christian rock songs. Like it's very, like God is the answer kind of vibes. I don't really know what he's saying, but his voice is weirdly like Creed-like, and I don't know. It just what year did this band, when were they popular? Because maybe it was just
the early
2005.
Okay, yeah, so that makes sense. That's kind of
how does that make sense?
That was like the whole.
Yeah, that's when that whole thing was happening.
Yeah, that whole
all
shtick.
Rock music was terrible. No offense, Anthony.
Yeah, and it was all like, and it's a dies for me. And I'm like the opposite of Trey. I really like the guitar and like the drums and shit. Like, it's heavy, which is cool, but like it just gives Sunday school, it gives like Wednesday night church cool pastor vibes to me.
It gives affliction t-shirt guy at your local bar that's never left town vibes.
No, here's the thing. No, I have to stop you guys because one, if I put together a playlist of these songs Blake keeps calling Christian and played them to a Christian, their head might explode because it's literally not even close. So
I'm not co-signing on that opinion. I just
definitely good call, Trey. Your insurance agent definitely thanks you for that.
Thank you.
But it's from a rock. I would when you think of heavy rock that you like, who do either of y'all think of? I'm just curious now because now I have nowhere to go with a heavy rock angle.
Nirvana, Metallica, and Tool.
Yeah, I think of
Three completely different genres of music, right?
Yeah, I think of like Zeppelin. Is probably my heavy rock that I enjoy.
And I don't think Tool, Nirvana, and Metallica are that different of genres.
I mean, Tool definitely is. I also don't like Tool, for the record.
Yeah, Trey isn't a Tool guy.
That would be heavy. I mean, that would be heavy shit, and like, but Disturbed is all like Disturbed separates themselves from other rock bands in a sense. Like their drummer plays with double foot pedals, right? So there's like a lot of tempo happening there. Again, a band that I would highly recommend seeing live just from the energy standpoint alone. I saw them at Iron City, and that was like the most fun I've ever had in Iron City, just releasing energy. I think that they're bands like this. I saw Limp Bizkit on Friday. It again was the same. What's that?
I would love to see Limp Bizkit. We saw SCS9 at Iron City. You can't tell me you had more fun at Disturbed than you did at SCS9.
I absolutely did have more fun at Disturbed. But this is what you have to recognize with
Anthony. You're such an interesting guy.
You are.
Thank you. Well, thank you. But like, have you ever seen me at a Bass Nectar show? I mean, like, completely immersing yourself in a crowd of people moving in synchronicity and releasing energy, like that. If you want to put me in my most favorite concert, it is that type of experience, where it's literally tension and release and you're surrounded just by bodies, in the best way possible. But like, so I mean, it's not for everyone, but like, I tried to give you something that was potentially digestible from Disturbed.
Not for
with
me.
your brain.
Not for Sorry.
Me. Oh, that's unfortunate.
I will say
I needed my own solo cast with like some heavy and scary. Give me heavy.
I'm sure you can go down to the local Pelham bar and you can find many folks that'll hop on and talk about Disturbed.
True. Before we get into Trey's rides, guys, I have to say, so I've been playing poker matches like once a week at various bars. They have them like every night, and I was next to a guy at the table last night, and they were he was asking me questions. I was like, "Oh, I'm originally from," I was born in South Florida, but I grew up in Birmingham, Alabama. He goes, "Oh, I went to Birmingham, Alabama one time for a New Year's event," and I was like, "Really?" I was like, "What show is it?" And he was like, "Have you ever heard of Bass Nectar?" I was like, "Yeah, actually, I have." I was like, "I used to go to Bass Nectar a lot, and now I don't go to Bass Nectar at all." And he was like, "Yeah, that makes sense." But he was talking about like how much fun he had and how sick it was, and I was like, "It's still interesting to hear like random people that just like did a one-off Bass Nectar show." And they're like,
Birmingham.
Birmingham, Alabama." All right, Trey, what do you got?
All right, so I changed courses today. Pretty monumental thing happened with Fish last week. Just some random weekday shows in Grand Rapids, Michigan, which is where Billy Strings is from. Fish very rarely has sit-ins, like very, very rarely. If it is a sit-in, it's someone who's like done it a bunch of times, like Dave Matthews in Mexico or whatever. So Billy Strings sat in for the back half of the second set and the encores for both nights there in Grand Rapids. So I pulled Possum, Fish, and Billy Strings together. Billy shreds it, and he also sings on Possum, which is sick because usually Mike does, and it's typically not that great, to be quite honest with you. And his voice sounds great on that track. He had a really good time. He apparently just asked Trey for tickets, and Trey was
I saw that.
Trey was like, "Actually, why don't you just come on stage and play with us?" So super big deal. Very cool. Curious to see how you guys felt about the song.
Yeah. So, go ahead, Anthony.
Well, I was just going to ask, and you might have just said this because I was trying to pull up the set list. Do these people who I guess would guest spot with Fish, do they normally sing lead? You might have just said this, but I totally wasn't listening.
I mean, not like if it's Dave Matthews, yeah, he's going to sing.
Gotcha.
I can't think of who has sat in with Fish since Dave Matthews, though.
Interesting.
But I can do research.
As far as that song goes, it definitely rides. I want to listen to the set, or at least that second set plus the encore, to kind of get the context, because no one knew he was going to be performing. Is that right? And he just
pretty much. I mean, there were like rumors.
Rumors start to float,
Yeah.
But that's interesting, just to kind of the MoMA dance. You broke the news here, right?
Yeah, I think so.
That's pretty cool, and I mean, good for them, good for Billy, and good for the fans. Shit, can't get enough.
Am I going to get that as a rides?
Oh yeah, it rides. It rides for me.
Sick.
But I want to talk about your other rides or die at some point too. That was some good shit.
Yeah, so I mean, what more could you ask for, man? Possum, one of the most popular Fish songs for people that don't listen to Fish, right? Everybody knows Possum. And Billy is great, man. And I think like there is a thing happening on the internet within the jam community where, you know, when somebody gets super famous and they're everywhere, that people like inevitably start to get sick of it and start hating on him. And I don't fucking appreciate that, because Billy's awesome. He's a great dude. Again, I've plugged this before. If you guys and if people listening have not listened to the Theo Vaughn podcast with Billy, please go listen to that, because it's phenomenal. Like, Billy's just such a good guy, and he works really hard to get to where he is. Super humble, and like he fucking shreds, man. And he shreds on this song. He shreds always, and he deserves all the credit that you can give him. Trey took me to his Bonnaroo show. He told me, you don't want to miss this. Like, come through to Billy Strings, and it was a fucking blast. And so like. He's just, it's great, man. And Fish, like, as I said early in the year, like, I have come to the realization that Fish is easily the greatest band in the world right now. Nobody will convince me otherwise, except maybe my Morning Jacket. And I need to see them more often. So it's great to see just such a talented group of musicians on stage together, man. Like, Trey Anastasio is arguably the best guitarist alive right now, and Billy is up there as well. So to see them work together, and I'm sure the crowd loved it. I'm super fucking jealous. And yeah, all praises, Hard Rides. I'm glad that you switched up. It was nice to listen to it. And yeah, so shout out that. Good pick.
All true things. All right, Blake.
All right, so I brought, so this is, I actually tried to pick a hip hop song that, like, I wanted to bridge some gaps here, right? Because I know Anthony is a Gucci Mane guy. I know he likes Gucci Mane, you know, and I thought,
is that true?
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right. Sorry,
I'm gonna let Blake finish.
Finish. And Migos is, you know, a new age rap act that I'm sure Anthony has his strong opinions on about why he doesn't like them. And so I was like, you know what? Let's bring these two timelines together and see how Anthony can work this out in his brain, how it goes for him. So I brought I Get the Bag by Gucci Mane featuring Migos. And, like, you know, there is not a better insult than me myself getting the bag and, you know, flipping and tumbling it, and you getting the bag and fumbling it. You know, I think that is a great insult. And yeah, I just love this song. So what did you guys think? Anthony, why don't you go first?
You want me to start?
Okay, this was really geared for you. So
right, it was. And I almost clapped back with my own Ride or Die. So this is my opinion. I like Gucci Mane, for the record. Big Gucci fan. Up until probably like 2010, right? I was gonna pull a Gucci Mane song from like one of the first couple albums just to kind of counteract like this, I don't know what you want to call it, track with some actual good Gucci Mane shit.
Oh my god!
This shit
I can't win with this guy.
Here's the thing: you could have played me just the instrumental for this song, and I would have said, "Oh god, is this like 2012 to 2017? Try to be hip hop fusion trap garbage kind of music?"
What?
And it is. So that's
this
why
beat rides, dude. This beat is fire.
I could literally go my whole life without hearing another song with this kind of beat in it. I would live the happiest life, you know, because I try, Blake. I do try, and you could say my ears.
I forget that you guys are old men. That you guys are old men, both of you, in your 30s. And this is what happens when you turn 30. It's like that episode of South Park where Stan just, everything is shit to him. That's what happens.
Yeah. Listen. I mean, it really does sound like shit to me. Gucci doesn't even sound the same, you know? I mean, this is like...
he got out of prison, he got sober, and he started taking care of himself. His voice probably changed.
Did he get out of prison in 2017?
It was around that time.
Might have been before.
I feel like this is pre-prison.
No, it's not.
It's not. Okay.
He did the State versus Roderick Davis before this too. But like again, there comes a hip hop films are like this too to me. Like there seems to be a way or a wave potentially to hop onto, and that this type of beat seems to be that wave that really caught with a fire with a bunch of people. But like for me, like I said, I can hear it and I recognize it, but I also don't like it at all. So yeah, heavy die.
Trey?
All right. Dies.
Okay.
Just flat, man. I hate Migos. I hate triplet rapping. I'm surprised that you like it, honestly, because I feel like you have pretty decent sometimes taste in hip hop. But like, and I've never understood the Gucci Man like love from people whose opinions I
It's
respect. But like,
Gucci Mane, actually.
good, whatever. People fucking love Gucci Mane, and I just don't get the bird movement. You know, I'm more of a zzz guy. I'm not a burr guy. And yeah, I just don't. I don't get it. I have a friend, Sonny, loves Gucci Mane, and he likes always trying to get me on some Gucci Mane shit. And I'm just not about it, man. So I'm sorry, Blake. Unfortunately,
All right,
it's a pretty hard dies.
Anthony went 0 for 2. I went 0 for 2. Like it happens sometimes, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Sometimes people don't get it, right, Blake?
Yeah, some people just don't get it, you know. You guys will come around.
Keep trying.
All right, so the movie pick was Trap. I picked it, M. Night Shyamalan. So Anthony and I have actually had this discussion before because we did Knock at the Cabin probably 2 months ago. And M. Night to me is Night is he is the most hit or miss guy in the game. There is no one more hit or miss than M. Night. He either is dropping bangers like Signs or he's dropping like just trash. Yeah, like there's no in between to him. And I will say Knock at the Cabin grew on me after I watched it the second time. But Amanda and I went and watched Trap today, and I will tell you guys, I was really, really impressed. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very anxiety inducing. Like he was great at creating tension and anxiety. Like, and her and I were kind of like, oh, what the fuck is going to happen next? How's he going to get out of this? What's going to go down? So I would say like out of the recent M. Night movies, so there's like the Split Glass thing that happened, the Knock at the Cabin, Old, and Trap. I would say Trap to me is better than all of those movies. Old, I think, is good upon rewatch. Like I enjoyed it. But yeah, man, I really liked it. And I went in with low expectations because I don't really like a lot of his movies. So I don't know. I really enjoyed it. But I don't know. It seems like you guys didn't. So what did you think, Anthony?
I haven't said a word about the movie yet.
Would you like for me to go?
Yeah.
Trey? Okay.
Go ahead.
So I went into this movie with really high expectations. You know, Josh Hartnett, I'm really big fan of. Hadn't seen him in a role like this, I don't think ever, you know, as this quote, like serial killer kind of role. But like, between the three of us, we've probably easily been to 1,000 concerts, big shows, right? So like we know logistics, we know just the vibe of a concert. And for those of you who haven't seen this movie, it's basically a sting operation done at a big pop concert, right? But I guess you have to check your logical mind at the door for this show because there were just so many decisions that were made that had me going like, what the fuck? Like how are you going to, it's just ridiculous. There's so many, and I'll list out points if we get to there, but like there was just so much absurdity.
Like give me some of them.
Okay, I got one. Go ahead with your first one.
Okay, number one. At the end, there's no shots fired with a serial killer in your grasp, right? The apprehension of him, spoiler alert, at the end, they let him, one, have time with his daughter, two, have time with this bicycle. And they're not. Yeah, there's no maximum security at all.
Say goodbye. He's a sociopathic killer. They're just letting him say goodbye to everybody. What's going on?
That part was a little weird. I will say that part was a little weird.
Yeah. I mean, that was just. Go ahead.
Two of my points to that were, okay, so one, you're going to have this $1,000 sting operation about a sociopathic killer for this girl's concert, and then you're just going to let her go into the room with a random guy.
Right.
Well, they didn't know that was happening.
Yeah, but she doesn't have a security detail with her at all times. Also, when she takes the phone and she goes into the bathroom, instead of calling 911 and being like, "Hey, I'm at the killer's house.
He's here."
She hops on Instagram's like, "Hey, does anybody know where there's a house that has a sign?"
Yeah, but she's trying to find where he is. Like
she has the phone.
Yes.
Yeah, but she doesn't know where he is.
Smash the phone. Yeah, but they'll find him. She can do all of that later.
No. I thought that part was great. I will tell you, the fact that she didn't throw the phone in the toilet didn't make sense to me. But apart from that, like everything else, if you think of how things work in the modern era of social media, like a pop star that seemingly has tens of millions of followers, like that makes sense. Like that's how you get that information out to the public as fast as possible to have somebody, because what are the police going to do if she tells them, oh, there's a statue and there's a blue door? Like what the fucking police in Philadelphia
she can still go on Instagram Live after she calls the police and says, hey, I'm at the killer's house and I have his phone.
But she tells her driver to call the police. She tells the driver to call the police.
I don't know, man.
Nah, that part made sense. That part made sense to me.
Yeah. How are you going to just let her walk into that house?
I have a few, yeah, right? Like, you're just going to let this girl, like, walk? Yeah, no.
It's her boss. It's her boss. Like, she's telling him, wait by the car. Like,
that. Stay on the job.
If the mom knows about it the whole time, sorry, spoiler alert. If the mom knows about it the whole time, why is she just like casually like vibing out in the kitchen whenever she like goes in the bathroom, like rush her into Riley's room or whatever? Like, why does the mom not at that point be like, okay, now we can get caught, I'm calling the cops?
She didn't. Well, first off, she didn't know the whole time. She had a hunch. And second off, he took their phones. He says that.
Okay, that might be fair. All right, so my general thoughts on the movie, I thought it was pretty good. I want to know what the business account is for me to expense my ticket. Because I feel like if you're making me go to the theater, I should be able to, and I'm including gas in that too, so about $22.
Oh my god! You gotta start going on Tuesdays. Movie tickets are $5.
I couldn't go on Tuesday. We had to record the pod on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So if you make, actually new rule. If you make me go to the movie theater, we have to record on Wednesdays. So that way I can go see the movie on
here's
Tuesday.
The thing: you can go during the day on Tuesday, which is what I do every week.
Like, I have a job. I can't just go to the movie during the middle of the day.
Oh, shit. I'm off on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
I work on Wednesdays, though.
You liberal. Some of us have to work. Okay, so I have some notes here really quick. So I thought the acting wasn't super great, but maybe it was, like, intentionally over the top. I thought Josh Hartnett was awesome.
He was great.
He's great. Yeah.
Solid.
All the close-ups on his face and, like, him,
oh, my God.
They were great.
So good.
Mm-hmm.
Lady Raven's music absolutely fucking slaps. So if we can get her album and like review that on the podcast, like every track, I was like, "This beat rides."
This is kind of a banger.
You know that's his real daughter, M. Night Shyamalan's daughter. So he basically got us. Here's my theory on this movie. There's a couple theories. One, who was actually trapped? Were we trapped in this concert, not being able to leave to see how this story ends? Right, but he does this thing halfway through the movie where he has cameos in all of his films pretty much, but he says something point blank to the camera that was so not necessary, which is he goes, oh yeah, I'm her uncle. Like he just like says that really forward to the camera, which just like really, I was like, what? That's weird. And then to come to find out it's really his daughter, like why not express that that's your daughter or not say anything? It just seemed totally not
That's a really weird gripe, but okay.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
Yeah, just get away from the
Gay Kid
camera.
Cudi was a nice surprise.
I love that.
Shit was so funny.
I did like Gay Kid Cudi.
That's my favorite part.
But what's funny is like,
when he turns on winks at him, I'm like, fuck yeah. Gay Kid
the thing
Cudi.
is, I think it's funny because when he's acting like a dick to his manager or whatever, I can see Kid Cudi actually being that type of person. So that's why
I
it made me
I
laugh.
actually wrote down a line that he said. He said, I specifically wanted honeysuckle sour kombucha, bitch. Which I love that. Love that. The writing is pretty goofy. Whenever that the guy, the merch guy, is like showing him the picture of the butchered up girl, I guess he's like, that's Pieces, dog. She's deli prepped. I'm like, okay. Or they're like when the cops are like talking about who to look for, and they were talking about like this one guy they pulled out. They're like, he was awarded the most liked teacher at the school that he works at. Like that's
ridiculous.
Like verbatim. I was like, all right, this is a little much.
Okay, so I went to go see. I think it was Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock last year at BJCC, and they did this thing where they locked up everyone's phones, and they had security detail specifically singling out and removing people who had their phones out during the show, even if they were just checking their messages, which was pretty wild, but it was, I mean, they were on top of people.
It's comedy.
But like, that's what gave me these types of vibes when I started to see them pull out. First off, you're separating parents from their children unknowingly to anybody. You know, like, how are you just going to plop someone out of the show and go.
Like, we know this guy's at a crowd of 30,000 people. It's an absolute
ridiculous.
No, it's not. It's the
movie,
FBI. You don't think the FBI? What the fuck
How are they gonna?
All
right, so FBI, who's on the roof,
they're gonna
comes face to face with one human who has a badge.
They're FBI in a crowd where they say
a little unrealistic.
No, it's no. Okay,
he's dying on that hill.
No.
It's a sinking ship.
This is the problem. Y'all are vastly underestimating the Big Brother government, like the Big Brother aspect of our government. You don't think that they can clock everybody going in and out of a major stadium? Like that's common knowledge.
They have facial recognition software.
Exactly. So what's realistic about them being like, there's 3,000 men there in a crowd of 60,000 people? Like, I think with 3,000 people, the FBI can figure out like, we're going to talk to.
No, I feel like they didn't really have that much to go off of. They just had someone who was a profiler who was like, this is what he should be. Like, you watched Mindhunter, you know it's not fully accurate.
Mindhunter was the 70s. Technology has come a long way.
That's true.
Look, man, I think the concept was great. I think it's realistic. I think there are some aspects of the movie that didn't make sense. Like the phone in the toilet thing really bothered me because like get rid of the phone. But
delete the app.
But the reason for that was the climactic moment of him looking at the camera and seeing that the kid had been rescued. Like that was the setup. Was it kind of silly? Yeah, like logically, but like if you're gonna sit and pick apart like every explanation of the movie, like you're gonna find holes in it. It's like me with Uncut Gems. Like if I sit and study the movie, then like I'll find shit to not like about it. But it was a fun watch, right? You guys can give me that.
Fun watch. I had a good time. Yeah. It was a good movie experience for me.
Do
we give rankings to movies? Do we have ratings to movies?
I gave it a 4 out of 5. Yeah. By the way,
I would give it like a 7 out of. Well, it's like a 6.5. I give it a 6.5.
All right.
So I'm not going to tell my rating, but
I'm going to go check your letterbox.
I thought you would have checked. I tried to erase it beforehand because like it's like 1.5 star.
Wait, what is Letterbox?
It's we got to get Trey on that.
Letterbox is like your own way to catalog your experiences with movies. So you can rate things, you can have a watch list, you can say when you saw it, or if it's a repeat watch, or you can do a whole write up. It's a rabbit hole, but it's worth it.
It's like a social media basically for movie watchers. It's really fucking cool.
Right.
Gotcha. Cool.
So the concept of this film supposedly came from a real event that happened, an actual legitimate successful sting operation that happened back in, it's called Operation Flagship, and you can look it up. Looks like it was from 1985. They basically did this ad in the Washington area where they strategically sent out this ad for free tickets to a Redskins game, but you had to show up at this off-site facility to then go through the motions to then be able to go to the game. And I think they got like 101 people through that, people who had already had wanted an award.
I've heard about this before, actually.
There's a 30 for 30, or it's a short 30 for 30 short called Strike Team. It's excellent. And again, it's legitimate, and there's no holes in the story because it's the actual thing. But I was like I said, I was torn with do I like this movie, or is the absurdity really taking me out of it? Because it's more the latter. And I thought when you opened up this segment, Blake, that you were going to have the same opinion because you were talking, successes and duds. But again, we don't see eye to eye on this one.
Yeah, I don't know. I get, there were moments where I think if I nitpicked, I would be like, I wouldn't have enjoyed the movie, but I was just like, I was caught up in the anxiety and the like, what's the next move? What's going to happen next? Like the scene, I really think like that scene where he goes backstage with her and basically is like, I'm the guy you're looking for. It's a great scene. Like her facial expressions are great. Like it's very much an oh shit moment where you're like, what the fuck is going to happen next? And then like the limo scene is good. So there's just like a lot. I was just along for the ride and I just enjoyed it that way, you know?
But the anxiety wasn't enough to make you want to stop it halfway through or anything like that?
No, because it was actually like a good movie. So I
tried to raise your anxiety
and it wasn't 3 hours long, which was another great thing about it. All right. Well, okay. Let's get into next week. So who is it? It's a Trey album pick, Anthony movie pick, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
All right, Trey, what do you got?
Man, I've been debating what I'm going to give you like all day. So what I think we're going to end up doing, because it is topical, because it just recently came out this past weekend, is we're going to do King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard Flight B741. It is the newest King Gizzard album. It is their 26th album, which is a lot.
Is that the Malaysian flight that went missing?
No, it doesn't have anything. It doesn't have anything to do with that. I think the theme is like When Pigs Fly. Okay. It's like on the album art. It's, there's a lot of themes to it. I'll let you kind of go through it. I haven't listened to it all the way through yet, so I figured it'd be a good way for me to get to dive into it. So selfishly, this is just for me to make myself listen to this really critically. I was going to give you that Sergil Simpson record from the Rides or Dies that I sent in, but maybe we'll do that for another time. That album's really good. Yeah. We're going to do King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizards Flight B741.
Fuck yeah.
Okay.
Anthony, movie?
All right, so for movie, I'm struggling between two, and I'm not really worried about y'all's opinions on either. I think it'll be fine. But let's go with an action sci-fi thriller movie with not a lot of holes to punch in. We'll see. It's called Anon. It's ANON, and it should be available on Netflix from 2018. It's a wild movie. I've only seen it once, and I remember it really sticking in my head. The concept was really cool and interesting. So, yeah, we'll talk about that. Anon.
I'm surprised you were kind of teasing an alien pick with the graphic you sent us earlier.
You want me to do that, but I'll let you do it. If you had finished, who knows? No,
here's the thing. It's coming out next week, so we're
this weekend.
Yeah, this weekend. So I don't know. I don't want to wait all the way until my movie pick to pick it. So I'll probably go watch it, and then if we want to do like an aside or something, we definitely can.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go see it for sure, but until we get our write-offs, set up. I mean, we have to use our own money for this. So if Trey wants to go see it, then we can all talk about it. We can do an aside on it for sure.
Yeah, true. Maybe send him some money, and then
I'm just saying, send me the link to submit my business expense. I kept the receipt. So.
Okay.
All right, well, guys, it was a blast as always. Trey, happy belated birthday. I hope the wait was worth it for my work that I put into your birthday. Yeah, of course.
That was great.
I enjoyed it, guys. I'll see you next week. Everybody else, we'll see you then. Peace.